Scandal unleashed in Port Charles. Truth, betrayal, and fallout. As the sun rises over Port Charles on May 8, 2025, a storm of revelations begins to unravel. Revelations that threaten to rip apart alliances, expose covert agendas, and ignite a chain reaction of blame, heartbreak, and vengeance. From political sabotage to personal betrayal, the next chapter in General Hospital sets fire to the calm before the storm. In a quiet corner of the hospital, Portia Robinson stared at her phone, her voice sharp with urgency as she instructed someone to click on the news. "You're going to want to see this." Her words were not simply a warning, they were a prelude to chaos. The news broadcast that followed shook Port Charles to its core. The headlines reported a stunning reversal in public opinion. Drew Cain had not been intoxicated, as initially believed, but drugged. Surveillance footage and forensic data hinted at foul play, a sinister twist in what had been a politically charged scandal. Drew, once mocked and politically humiliated, suddenly became the symbol of an orchestrated smear campaign. Sympathy for him surged. His erratic behavior at the recent fundraising gala, once dismissed as drunken folly, was now understood through a far more nefarious lens. What was initially political suicide transformed into a shocking tale of victimhood. Voters who had turned on him were now reconsidering everything, and that shift rattled the power players in town. Elizabeth Weber, juggling her own suspicions, finally cornered Isaiah, a man whose recent vanishing act had left her with too many unanswered questions. "I just want to know where you've been hiding," she demanded, her voice tinged with exasperation and pain. His absence during the critical fallout from the gala raised red flags. Elizabeth's instincts told her that Isaiah was either running from something, or hiding something. Either way, she was done waiting for explanations. Meanwhile, Curtis Ashford found himself in yet another clandestine meeting, this time with Nina Reeves. Their frustration boiled over as Nina snapped, "What do I have to do to finally get rid of him?" Though she didn't name Drew directly, there was no mistaking her intent. The plan to tarnish his public image had backfired dramatically. It seemed Drew had known he was drugged all along, an ace up his sleeve he waited to play at the right moment. And now, that card had turned the tide in his favor. For Nina and Curtis, that meant returning to the drawing board, their machinations undone by an unexpected twist of fate. Drew, no longer the victim of ridicule, stood tall in Tracy Quartermain's office, his voice laced with fury and resolve. "Whoever did this will be punished," he declared. His suspicion had narrowed, and though Portia's actions with ketamine were on his radar, it was Tracy who bore the brunt of his wrath. Whether based on intuition or evidence, Drew was convinced someone from within his own orbit had orchestrated the betrayal. Tracy's refusal to deny or confirm only deepened the mystery. Across town, Lucas Jones reeled in horror. "What the hell just happened?" he demanded, his eyes wide with disbelief. It wasn't just the news or the implications that left him speechless, it was the realization that he might have unknowingly played a part in a much larger scheme. Lucas had long distanced himself from the power struggles of the hospital and family politics, but the tides had dragged him back in. And now, he found himself neck-deep in a crisis that could destroy reputations, including his own. the fallout didn't stop there. At the police station, Dante Falconeri stood face to face with Jason Morgan, the weight of recent events etched deeply into his expression. "I blame you more than I blame Danny," he said coldly. The words struck hard, not just because of the accusation, but because they laid bare a pattern of resentment Dante had carried for years. After wrongly blaming Gio for Rocco's recent alcohol scare, Dante had found a new target in Danny, and by extension, Jason. Jason, stoic as ever, didn't flinch. But the silent fury behind his eyes hinted at a reckoning still to come. Whether he would respond with the calm of a father or the cold efficiency of a soldier remained to be seen. But one thing was clear: Dante had drawn a line in the sand, and dared Jason to cross it. Underneath the chaos, other questions simmered. Was Portia's involvement with the ketamine a desperate attempt to protect someone? Was Tracy truly behind Drew's drugging, or was she being framed? Could Nina and Curtis go further down a dangerous road to eliminate a rival? And how far would Dante go to deflect his guilt over Rocco onto Jason's family? In Port Charles, no secret stays buried for long. And as new alliances shift and old grudges reignite, the true puppet masters are slowly being revealed. With reputations on the line, and trust becoming a luxury no one can afford, the stage is set for another explosive turn. Because in General Hospital, justice isn't just blind, it's often weaponized. Would you like this storyline continued into a follow-up article?